Hello. Hi everyone. Hi everyone and welcome to International Royals TV. Thank you for clicking on this live stream. Please thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please check out our community tab for Queen Elizabeth II's life history playlist and also check out the playlist section. So yesterday we were on session number 9 and we discussed perils and descent in terms of Queen Elizabeth II's life history. And now, today, we are on session number 10, which we will be talking about Queen Elizabeth II's turbulent years. So, let's go. In the wake of coalition victory in the Gulf War, Elizabeth became the first British monarch to address a joint meeting of the United States Congress in May 1991. On 24th of November 1992, in a speech to mark the Ruby Jubilee of her accession, Elizabeth called 1992 her annus horribilis, a Latin phrase meaning horrible year. Republican feeling in Britain had risen because of press estimates of Elizabeth's private wealth contradicted by the palace and reports of affairs and strained marriages among her extended family. In March, her second son, Prince Andrew, separated from his wife, Sarah. Her daughter, Princess Anne, divorced Captain Mark Phillips in April. Angry demonstrators in Dresden threw eggs at Elizabeth during a state visit to Germany in October. Wow, somebody actually threw eggs at the Queen Elizabeth II herself. How dare they? How utmost disrespect to the Queen. They could throw eggs at her. Wow. Anyway, let's continue. That's just thrown me a lot. Thought she was the most well-respected. How dare they? Let's continue. Angry demonstrators in Dresden threw eggs at Elizabeth during a state visit to Germany in October, and a large fire broke out at Windsor Castle, one of her official residences, in November. Wow. Yeah, it does sound like a tough time in her life. Let's keep going. The monarchy came under increased criticism and public scrutiny. In an unusually personal speech, Elizabeth said that any institution must accept criticism, but suggested it might be done with a touch of humour, gentleness, and understanding. That shows her great personality. Let's continue. 2 days later, John Major announced plans to reform the royal finances drawn up the previous year, including Elizabeth paying income tax from 1993 onwards and a reduction in the civil list. In December, Prince Charles and his wife Diana formally separated. Wow. So that's 3 divorces I can count. Wow. Let's continue. Prince Charles and his wife Diana formally separated at the end of the year. Elizabeth sued the Sun newspaper for breach of copyright when it published the text of her annual Christmas message 2 days before it was broadcast. Oh my goodness. Let's continue. Yes, before it was broadcast. Wow. So the Sun newspaper went ahead of her wishes. Wow, that's terrible. Anyway, let's continue. Yep. The newspaper was forced to pay her legal fees and donated 200,000 to charity, as they should. Like, how dare they bring out a message before the Queen was ready? Imagine. Let's continue. Elizabeth's solicitors had taken successful action against the Sun 5 years earlier for breach of copyright after it published a photograph of her daughter-in-law, the Duchess of York, and her granddaughter, Princess Beatrice. In 1994, Elizabeth broke the scaphoid bone in her left wrist as the horse she was riding at Sandringham tripped and fell. Oh my gosh, that must have been painful. But luckily she was okay after that. Let's continue. In October 1994, she became the first reigning British monarch to set foot on Russian soil. In October 1995, Elizabeth was tricked into a hoax call by Montreal radio host Pierre Brassard, impersonating Canadian Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Elizabeth, who believed that she was speaking to John, said she supported Canadian unity and would try to influence Quebec's referendum on proposals to break away from Canada. In the year that followed, public revelations on the state of Charles and Diana's marriage continued. In consultation with her husband and John Major, as well as the Archbishop of Canterbury, George Carey, and her private secretary, Robert Fellows, Elizabeth wrote Charles and Diana at the end of December 1995, suggesting that a divorce would be advisable. Let's continue. In August 1997, a year after their divorce, Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. Elizabeth was on holiday with her extended family at Balmoral. Diana's two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, wanted to attend church, so Elizabeth and Philip took them that morning. Afterwards, for 5 days, the royal couple shielded their grandsons from the intense press interest by keeping them at Balmoral, where they could grieve in private. But the royal family's silence and seclusion, and the failure to fly a flag at half-mast over Buckingham Palace, caused public dismay. Pressured by the hostile reaction, Elizabeth agreed to return to London and address the nation in a live television broadcast on 5th of September, the day before Diana's funeral. In the broadcast, she expressed admiration for Diana and her feelings as a grandmother for the two princes. As a result, much of the public hostility evaporated. In October 1997, Elizabeth and Philip made a state visit to India, which included a controversial visit to the site of Jallianwala Bagh massacre, sorry if I mispronounced that, to pay her respects. Protesters chanted, "Killer, Queen, go back." Oh my goodness, wow, somebody had said that to her. Wow. And there were demands for her to apologize for the reaction of British troops 78 years earlier. At the memorial in the park, she and Philip laid a wreath and stood for a 30-second moment of silence. As a result, much of the fury among the public softened. That's good. And the protests were called off. That's good. Let's continue. That November, the royal couple held a reception at Banqueting House to mark their golden wedding anniversary. Elizabeth made a speech and praised Philip for his role as consort, referring to him as my strength and stay. In 1999, as part of the process of devolution in the United Kingdom, Elizabeth formally opened newly established legislatures. Let me try and pronounce that again. Sorry. Legislatures for Wales and Scotland, the National Assembly for Wales at Cardiff in May, and the Scottish Parliament at Edinburgh in July. So that brings us to the end of this session. The next session will continue tomorrow, and that will be session number 11, which will be called Dawn of the New Millennium. And the source I am reading this from is Wikipedia, in case you would like to catch up. And if you'd like to see sessions 1 to 9, you could catch up with that in the playlist. And I'll put the playlist on the community tab. And if it's not on the community tab, right at the top, you can go direct to the playlist section and look for Queen Elizabeth's life history, Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and then you can catch up in the playlist on there. So I do thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to thumbs up this live stream if you haven't already, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, sorry. Oh, greet everyone. I'm really sorry because when I'm reading the text, I just have to concentrate on that. But I thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Maxwell, for tuning in. Thank you, Bobo, for tuning in. And you said I've got a nice voice. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment. Is this a story? It really is Queen Elizabeth II's life history. It's actually factual information. It's on Wikipedia. So I am reading from Wikipedia. So it's not a story. It's not fictional. It's actually facts, and it's from Wikipedia. So if you Google it on Wikipedia, the text is right there. I'm just reading from there. So yeah, nothing is made up. I'm literally reading from the source, and the text is on Wikipedia. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Hopefully, I will continue tomorrow with chapter number 11, and it will be called Dawn of the New Millennium. Oh, thank you, Bobo. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. So I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, hopefully. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. If you're just joining the live stream, please could you check out the community tab for the playlist of Queen Elizabeth II's life history. All the parts 1 to 9 are already in there. And after this live stream, I will add part 10 in there as well. And I'm going to put up a poll question. So if you answer the poll question, that'll be very good. Thank you so much again. All right, see you guys. Thank you.